What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. Now, a couple episodes ago, I put out a video kind of talking about how the Olympics was announced that NHL players will be returning to the Olympics, will be playing for their international teams, and how this is going to be great for the Olympics, great for the players, great for the NHL, great for growing the game itself. Now, the more I've kind of thought about it, the more that there's been talked about the players going to go back and compete in the Olympics, the more I've started to wonder how these players going and competing on an international stage as big as the Olympics could actually benefit them. And then more specifically, it started to make me wonder if this is the type of thing that really could help this Leafs team out. Now, we haven't typically got to see our own Leafs get to compete in the Olympics for Canada necessarily. We've seen some guys sprinkle here and there on different international teams, Finland, Russia, Sweden, whatever, but it hasn't necessarily been into Canada. And then that being said, we haven't even seen as big of a name players actually get to compete on this stage and get to display their talents there. So more specifically, I started to wonder if this would be something that could help this team as a whole. And my answer to that is yes, it can. These players, most of them, now they've all got to play on different international teams at some point in their lives. Most of them just juniors. Tavares has got to play at different levels throughout, but they've never really, aside from Tavares, experienced a team outside of the Leafs. They've all kind of been sheltered within the Maple Leafs organization. Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Riley, all specifically, regardless of if these guys will make their team for sure or not, there's 5 guys kind of who are going to be teed up to be potential players to represent teams at the Olympics. Those 4, they've never played outside of Toronto. They've all played in the same type of market while they've been Maple Leafs. They've all played under the same regime with very similar teammates. They've gone through different coaches and GMs in different eras, more specifically Morgan Rielly, but they haven't experienced a culture outside of Leafs culture. So this, I think, is going to be a great opportunity for these guys to, first off, go out there and experience what it's like to play with other high-end players. Now, Tavares obviously came from the island. He made that switch over in free agency. Huge signing for us, but he only came from the island as well. He gets to bring that experience of different guys, different culture, different experiences. But when you look at some of these players that these guys might have the opportunity to play with when they go and play for their countries, I think it could be very beneficial to this team and the success that they have after the fact. Because if these guys play well enough to make their Olympic teams and go to the Olympics, getting to go there, play on a high level team with very high-end players surrounding them, especially these 3 countries that they would be representing in US, Sweden, and Canada, they're surrounded by top-end talent who may be able to teach them a little bit more than they actually even realize. Obviously, you get to train with guys in the summer, but you don't get to play in a high-intensity game. You go to the All-Star game, you get familiarize yourself with these guys, see how they play, see how they train, whatever, but it's still the All-Star game. It's not that serious. Now, you go to the Olympics, and let's say Austin Matthews, for example. Some of his projected teammates, Johnny Gaudreau, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Brock Besser, Dylan Larkin, Max Pacioretty, the Kachucks, whatever. These are very good players who all bring different unique styles to the game of hockey that Austin Matthews may be able to incorporate into his own game without having to actually change his game at all. He may be able to pick up different tips and tricks. Some of the bigger things that actually I think will come from this is like when you look at guys that he could play with, Patrick Kane and Jake Gensel. Now, Gensel obviously isn't as big of a name as Patrick Kane, but these guys won cups. They know what it's like to win Stanley Cups. And these are guys who are going to bring veteran leadership and experience that Austin Matthews has not necessarily had at any point in his career. Yes, you have guys like Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons come into this locker room and be there, but when you have guys who are playing on your international team who know what it's like to win and know what it takes to win big things in big stages, these are guys that can help just teach different mentalities that Austin Matthews may have not been exposed to before. Even look at William Nylander with Sweden. You're going to have big names there, but you haven't had that many guys who've won Stanley Cups, Victor Hedman really being the only guy, but it's still another voice in that locker room who's won one. He's won at high levels. He's won with the juniors. He's played for Sweden for a long time. He's going to be a guy that William Nylander can look to for some type of guidance on bearing down, leading by example. How does this guy perform in the locker room? What is he like in practice? These are things you're going to get to see at full intensity, and then you're going to get to see it translate into a game. More specifically, I think the guys who could very much benefit from this, and I think it's guys that we will find very important to this Maple Leafs team, guys we've been harping on, is Mitch Marner, first off, and Morgan Rielly if Morgan Rielly gets a chance to play here. Mitch Marner will be surrounded by a forward group consisting of guys like Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Sidney Crosby, Huberdeau, Mark Stone, Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Sean Couturier. Right away there, I've listed 5 guys who have won a Stanley Cup. Point and Stamkos won the last 2. Crosby's won 2 out of like the last 6. And then you've got Marchand and Bergeron who have both won previously in 2011. And these are guys who have also won gold medals at the Olympics. These are guys who through and through know how to compete on the biggest stage. Sidney Crosby, the golden goal. Like, this guy is... I mean, you can't take the name from Ryan Smith, but like Captain Canada, he is Mr. Canada. He is the guy who holds the golden goal. He's won 3 Stanley Cups. He's one of the best players to ever play the game of hockey. And Mitch Marner is going to get to be in a locker room with this guy on a consistent basis, watching how he goes through his day-to-day business. And then a guy like Nathan MacKinnon, no, he's not won a Stanley Cup yet, but MacKinnon is a fierce competitor, a guy who absolutely gives a crap and tries everything he can. There's been articles that came out about him this summer and how intense he is, how badly he wants to win. And then Morgan Rielly, he's going to be surrounded by different defensemen who are more defensively responsible. They bring different skills to the game. They didn't bring different assets. Then you look at Pietrangelo, who won a Stanley Cup. Again, it's just more leadership that these guys get to see on a day-to-day basis that could help them and bring them back to their own teams. Now, aside from the leadership and what you can learn from other guys, I think one of the key takeaways for these guys going into the regular seasons will be coming back from the Olympics. You're going to be competing at a high intensity, a high level with a lot at stake here. They're going to be able to jump right back into the regular season and hopefully continue that competitiveness, continue that fire, continue what they've learned, what they take away from these Olympics, drive it through the regular season, and hopefully continue it on into the playoffs and allow this Leafs team to have the playoff success we all hope and expect them to have. Leafs fans, I'm excited for this upcoming season. We're only weeks away from our first preseason games, our first regular season games. It's getting exciting. I'm absolutely geared up for this one. So make sure you stay tuned to our channel for more Leafs content over the next coming weeks as we get ready for this regular season. It's going to be an exciting one. Leafs fans, we'll see you guys soon. Keep Leafing.